What time is it there? Roughly evening, afternoon, everybody? It is Steve Lookner. Ooh, my microphone is over there. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV coming to you with breaking news. Another one of President Trump's political rivals has been indicted. Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, who actually led a civil fraud case against President Trump, she has been indicted for bank fraud. And if you remember, there was a Truth Social post that President Trump sent out a couple. What was it? It was on September 20th, where he complained to Pam Bondi that certain of his Democratic rivals were not being prosecuted. Well, so far now, 2 of the 3 he mentioned have been prosecuted. So this is from, I'll put this on the screen just as a reminder. Let me just get this up here. If you remember this was on September 20th. And he posted, directing this to Pam Bondi, what about Comey, Adam, Shifty, Schiff, and Letitia? Well, since then, James Comey has been indicted, and Letitia James has been indicted. So is Adam Schiff next? I don't know. Anyways, she has been indicted, so we're going to talk about this. You can see this. It's being widely reported. But the headline on AP is New York Attorney General Letitia James indicted on fraud charge, AP source says. So we're going to talk about this, get you some updates, take your comments on the air. You can write to me at Lookner on X. Post in the chat as well. I appreciate our moderators, Janet B. And Beth Mythical. Thanks for being here. All of our other YouTube moderators. Let me just pull up our other things here. Hold on. Give me 1 sec. Give me 1 moment. Give me 1 moment here. Uh-oh. The X broadcast hasn't started yet. I got to start the X broadcast. I thought I did. Didn't start. Now it's starting. X will have to join a little late. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X, thanks for moderating there. And why is this doing this? Hold on 1 second here. Keep an eye on that. Thanks to our Facebook mods as well and our Twitch mods. This news just breaking. I am still in Madrid, Spain, so I apologize if the broadcast does not look or sound like it normally does. Oops, doing the best I can here. But I am coming to you live from Madrid, Spain. Thanks to Kay Lowry Body for moderating on Facebook. Margaret Riley, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, let's get into the details here. All right, here's the AP report right here. A grand jury has indicted New York Attorney General Letitia James on a fraud charge in the latest Justice Department case against a perceived enemy of President Trump, says AP. Letitia James was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia. It's the same district that Comey was indicted in. And the lead prosecutor in that district is, I believe, Lindsay Halligan, who President Trump appointed, I want to say a couple weeks ago, to that position. James was indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia on 1 count after a mortgage fraud investigation, said the person who spoke on condition of anonymity. The indictment 2 weeks after a separate criminal case charging former FBI Director James Comey with lying to Congress AP says it's the latest indication of the Trump administration's norm-busting determination to use the law enforcement powers of the Justice Department to pursue the president's political foes and public figures who once investigated him. The James case remained under seal today, making it impossible to assess what evidence prosecutors have. But as was the case with the Comey charges, says AP, the prosecution followed a strikingly unconventional case. The Trump administration 2 weeks ago pushed out Eric Siebert, the veteran prosecutor who had overseen the James Comey investigation for months but had resisted pressure to file a case, and Trump replaced him with Lindsay Halligan, a White House aide who was once Trump's personal lawyer and who had never worked as a federal prosecutor. Halligan presented the case to the grand jury herself, as she did in the case. Halligan presented the case against Letitia James to the grand jury herself, the same as she did in the case against James Comey, according to the AP source. Trump has been advocating charging James for months, posting on social media without citing any evidence that James was, quote, guilty as hell, and telling reporters at the White House, "It looks to me like she's really guilty of something, but I really don't know." James, a second-term Democrat, has denied wrongdoing. She has said she made an error while filling out a form related to the home purchase, but quickly rectified it and didn't deceive the lender. James's lawyer has accused the Trump Justice Department of concocting a bogus criminal case to settle Trump's personal vendetta against James, who Letitia James last year, won a staggering judgment against Trump and his companies in a lawsuit in New York, alleging that Trump and his companies lied to banks and others about the value of his assets. The Justice Department has also been investigating mortgage-related allegations against Federal Reserve Board member Lisa Cook, who has not been charged with anything yet. President Trump has attempted to fire her. And Senator Adam Schiff, whose lawyer called the allegations against Schiff transparently false, stale, and long debunked. But James is a particularly personal target for Trump, says AP. As Attorney General, she sued Trump and his administration dozens of times and oversaw a lawsuit accusing Trump of defrauding banks by dramatically overstating the value of Trump's real estate holdings and on financial statements. An appeals court overturned that fine, which had ballooned to more than $500 million with interest, but upheld in a lower court's finding that Trump had committed fraud. So again, she led a case against a civil fraud case against President Trump and his, Trump and his companies, if I said that right? Where is it here? James last year won a staggering judgment against Trump and his companies in a lawsuit alleging he lied to banks and others about the value of his assets. Okay, so we don't have the details yet, as far as I'm aware, from this particular indictment. Now, an indictment, a grand jury had to indict her. A grand jury indictment is a much lower standard than a trial jury convicting someone. To get an indictment in a grand jury, the prosecution goes to the grand jury and presents evidence. There is no representation from the defendant, by the defendant. The defendant does not have any representation there. So the only one talking to the grand jury is the prosecution. You need to get a majority of grand jurors to vote for an indictment. Whereas in a trial, you need to have a unanimous jury. Also, in a grand jury, you need to get a yes vote, means that there was probable cause of crime had been committed, which is that, if I understand it correctly, it is more likely than not. So say 51% likely would qualify. Probable cause is the standard in a grand jury, whereas in a trial, the juror has to vote to convict. The juror has to believe the case has been proved beyond a reasonable doubt. So for those reasons, it's much more difficult to get a criminal conviction than a grand jury indictment. But I don't know the specifics right now of this case and the evidence presented and all of that stuff. So we'll have to wait and see if we hear more about that. I'm going to take some comments from you guys in a second. I'm going to give you more updates about this. But again, it's quite interesting. I know a number of you remember this. This was this post. Oh, by the way, I should mention, I got this screen grab from Aaron Blake. Aaron Blake posted this screenshot. Reporter Aaron Blake. So I do want to mention that that's where the screen grab is from. But it's, I mean, I have a difficulty like going back to find a particular post on X or True Social. It can be hard. So I'm just using the screenshot that Aaron Blake posted. So I want to give him credit for the screenshot. But this is President Trump's post from September 20th when he said, and there was some speculation that this might have been an accidental public post of what was supposed to be a direct message. I believe the Wall Street Journal yesterday reported that this post by Trump was supposed to be a direct message. Let's see if I can find that report real quick. I don't want to take a lot of time on it. Is it here? Yes, so the Wall Street Journal yesterday reported that this post was actually supposed to be a private message to Pam Bondi, which accidentally got published publicly. Now, I can't confirm that, but that's what the Wall Street Journal said. Anyways, if we just go back to this post from September 20th, it's very interesting. President Trump said, Pam, Attorney General Bondi, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially, same old story as last time, all talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia James? They're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Trump then said, then we almost put in a Democrat-supported U.S. attorney in Virginia with a really bad Republican past, a woke rhino who is never going to do his job. That's why two of the worst Democratic senators pushed him so hard. He even lied to the media and said he quit and that we had no case. No, I fired him and there is a great case and many lawyers and legal pundits say so. Lindsey Halligan, who he ended up appointing to replace the head prosecutor in Eastern District of Virginia, he says, Lindsey Halligan is a really good lawyer and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. President Trump. Well, that was September 20th, and now 2 of the 3 people he mentioned, Jim Comey and Letitia James, have been indicted after Lindsey Halligan, his appointed new head attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, took those 2 cases to a grand jury. So again, I do wonder if we're going to see an indictment for Adam Schiff yet. It's next, or an attempted indictment, since he's the only one of the 3 who hasn't been indicted yet. Okay, so that's certainly interesting. All right, give me a moment here. Let me just check. Has President Trump posted on Truth Social about this? Let's see. I don't see anything from President Trump. Let me also check and see if any of like Pam Bondi or Kash Patel or anyone is posting about it yet. And I'm going to take some comments from you guys. Okay. Oh, I also want to see if there's a press release from the Eastern District of New York. Let me check that. Eastern District of Virginia, I'm sorry. Let me just look that up. Give me 1 second here, because I want to read you that press release if they came out with one. DOJ, U.S. Attorney, Eastern District of Virginia. That's what I need to look up. They haven't posted anything on their X account. I'm looking on their webpage. Oh, I got it. Statement from, here's the statement right here. Here it is. Look. New York State Attorney General indicted. This is the press release. Lindsay Halligan, U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, that was the person who President Trump appointed to that position several weeks ago, announced today that a federal grand jury returned an indictment charging New York State Attorney General Letitia James with bank fraud under 18 U.S.C. Section 1344 and false statements to a financial institution. Oh, okay. Okay, I got to post this. Let me post this real quick. So she's been charged with two things. If convicted, she faces up to 30 years in prison, up to a $1 million fine on each count, and forfeiture. Actual sentences for federal crimes are typically less than the maximum penalties. All right, hold on a second here. She's been charged with two crimes, actually. All right, hold on a moment. That statement from Lindsay Halligan. Letitia James has been charged with two crimes: bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution. So I didn't know it was two crimes. I just saw that right now. One moment, please. One moment, please. I'm going to show you this again. I'm going to show it to you again. Did I spell her name right? Of course I typo. Bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution. Okay, let me show you this again. So she's been charged with two crimes: bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution. Indicted on two charges. Okay. So let me read this again, because this is the official press release. Lindsay Halligan, U.S. Attorney for Eastern District of Virginia, again, President Trump appointed her a couple weeks ago, I think, several weeks ago, announced today that a federal grand jury had returned an indictment charging New York State Attorney General Letitia James with bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution. She said Halligan said no one is above the law. The charges alleged in this case represent intentional criminal acts and tremendous breaches of the public's trust. The facts and the law in this case are clear, and we will continue following them to ensure that justice is served. If convicted, now again, these are maximum penalties. There's all kinds of maximum penalties for things, but especially if you don't have a criminal record, the sentence can be much less than the maximum penalty. If convicted, she faces a maximum of 30 years in prison or up to a $1 million fine on each count and forfeiture. Actual sentences for federal crimes are typically less than the maximum penalties. A federal district court judge will determine any sentence after considering U.S. sentencing guidelines and all other statutory factors. And of course, to face any penalty, she would have to be convicted. It also says an indictment is merely an accusation. The defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Wow. So 2 counts. All right, I got to read some of your comments on the year. Sorry, I wanted to get you these updates, but I'm glad we got that two charges thing. Where was the grand jury in New York? No, the grand jury would have been in Virginia because this is the Eastern District of Virginia. In the meme time says she projected her crimes onto Trump and now the pendulum is swinging the other way. Let me read some more comments here. Bill Fett said she ran on putting Trump in jail. I have to, I want to double check how she her campaign stuff. Maybe if I go here. Hold on a second here. They talk about her campaign here. I don't want to confirm anything without more details, so I might have to look into that later. Let me go back. I'll go back to that later. I don't want to get stuck on doing a research project here. So, like, for example, I just found in one article by Notice, N-O-T-U-S, Notice, said, that was an article from today, said that Letitia James campaigned for her elected position on the explicit promise that she would pursue a case against Trump, and she did. Let's see here. Let me read some more comments here. Hold on. Lasrav says no one is above the law. Simon Templar says more clown show from Trump. Julie Shields from Facebook says the felon in the White House isn't above the law either. Steve Clark says hilarious karma. Hey, by the way, a quick thank you to a couple people. Thank you to 1,400-pound Devin for your support. Michael Ida. Jameson. Jameson thinks she has a greater chance of conviction in Virginia than New York. Thank you, Jameson 2012. Thanks 4@MTOP for being a member. Aaron McCune, our member. Sweet Serendipity, our member. Thanks Jenny Lang, who thinks Bondi is such a good lapdog for her master Trump. Thank you, Brandy, for being a member. Also, thank you to, one moment here, The Sugaro, thanks for subscribing. Also, shout out to our moderators. I Got That Fire on Twitch. I really appreciate it. Roberts May Queen on Facebook. Beth Mythical on Facebook. Thank you. Also, oh no, they're on YouTube, not Facebook. I'm sorry, my brain stopped working for a second. But thank you for modding. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha on X. And One moment. Linda Bell, sorry, not Linda Bell. Kay Larry, Body, Margaret Riley, moderating over there on Facebook. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right, let's give you more. Let's get people caught up on what's going on, because I know some people are just joining the stream. Give me a moment. We'll do that. So Letitia James is the New York State Attorney General. She led a civil case against President Trump last year in which Trump was charged and convicted with it was against him and his companies, I believe. But the conviction had to do with filing false financial statements. And President Trump is not a fan of Letitia James, political rival of President Trump. She has been charged by the Trump Justice Department today. She's been indicted by a grand jury after a case was brought to the grand jury by the Trump Justice Department. That's what I should say. She's been indicted by a grand jury on 2 counts: bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution. We don't have the details of the case right now, that I've seen. I haven't seen the details of the case. I read you, AP reported the case was still sealed. So we'll have to see how that goes. But we're bringing you live updates on this, and I'm going to wait and see if... I haven't seen a statement from... the Lindsay Halligan statement I showed you. I'll show you this again in a second. But I haven't seen a statement from Trump, nothing from Letitia James or her lawyer, nothing from like Pam Bondi or Kash Patel or anyone. As soon as I see that, I'll let you know. Okay? Let me read it. But again, the 2 charges are bank fraud and a second charge, false statements to a financial institution. 2 different charges. Bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution. 2 different things. All right, let me show you another rundown of this just to get people up to date. Then we'll talk more about it. Here, let me show you what Reuters had to say. Oops, you'll see it. Letitia James, New York Attorney General and Trump foe, indicted for bank fraud. Now, initially it was being reported just bank fraud, but officially it's bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution, right? False statements to a financial institution. That's the other charge. Okay, now, where was I? Right here. Reuters reports that New York Attorney General Letitia James, a longtime foe of President Donald Trump, was indicted for bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution, I'll add, today. A person familiar with the matter said, yeah, so again, we now have the official word that she was charged with 2 things. Reuters says, as the Trump administration seeks to use government power against those who have pursued investigations into Trump or publicly resisted his agenda. The details of the indictment, returned by a grand jury in the Eastern District of Virginia, were not immediately clear. The Justice Department had been probing mortgage fraud allegations against her. Neither James' lawyers nor representatives of her office immediately responded to requests for comment. A spokesperson for the Justice Department could not... Well, we already saw the Lindsay Halligan comment, which I'll show you again in a second. Trump, a Republican who campaigned for re-election in part on a vow of retribution after facing a slew of legal woes since his first term in the White House ended in 2021, has repeatedly assailed James on social media and at political rallies as a partisan enemy. Indictment follows charges against Comey. The indictment of James comes after a grand jury in Virginia on September 25th, just 2 weeks ago, indicted former FBI Director James Comey on charges of making false statements and obstructing a congressional investigation. Comey pleaded not guilty on Wednesday. Trump has regularly assailed Comey's handling of the FBI investigation that detailed contacts between Russia and Trump's 2016 campaign. Both indictments come after Trump, in a September 20th social media post addressed to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, said James, Comey, and U.S. Senator Adam Schiff were, quote, guilty as hell. As I showed you before, here is a screen grab of that. Hold on a second. I want to show you the screen grab of the True Social post. Here it is. This was that True Social post by Trump on September 20th, which the Wall Street Journal has reported that this was meant to be a direct message to Pam Bondi. He said, "Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time, all talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam, Shifty, Schiff, Letitia?" And Trump said, and then I guess the statements and posts said, they're guilty, they're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. And then Trump said, "We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now!" Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Now, and that was on September 20th. Well, now 2 of the 3 people he named have been indicted. Will there be an indictment for Adam Schiff next? That I don't know. The indictments against James and Comey, says Reuters, were both brought by a newly installed federal prosecutor in Virginia, Lindsay Halligan. She used to be one of Trump's personal lawyers. She did not have any prosecutorial experience, as AP mentioned. Her predecessor, Eric Siebert, resigned on September 19th, hours after Trump told reporters, "I want him out." Siebert believed the evidence against Comey and James was weak. 2 people familiar with the matter told Reuters at the time. James is one of several Democratic state attorneys general who have sued to block Trump administration actions. She is best known for bringing a civil fraud case against Trump and his family real estate company in 2022. That case resulted in a $454.2 million penalty against Trump after a judge found that Trump fraudulently overstated his net worth to dupe lenders. A New York State appeals court in August threw out the penalty, which had grown to more than $500 million with interest, but it did not overturn the judge's finding that Trump was liable for fraud. Both Trump and James' office are appealing that case to the state's highest court. Trump has denied wrongdoing. He accused James' office of bringing that case against him for political reasons. Oh, and a little background on possibly what this case is about against James here from Reuters here. Just want to show you this. The Justice Department's mortgage fraud probe into Letitia James was opened after Federal Housing Finance Agency Director William Pulte, a Trump appointee, and someone who's a big pro-Trump presence on social media, I can say. William Pulte sent the Justice Department's mortgage fraud probe into Letitia James was opened after William Pulte, Federal Housing Finance Agency Director, sent a letter to U.S. Justice Department. They sent a letter to the Justice Department alleging James falsified records to obtain favorable loans on homes she purchased in Virginia and Brooklyn. In his referral letter, Pulte wrote that James indicated in a mortgage application that a Virginia property she was buying in 2023 would be her primary residence, even though she lived in New York. James's lawyer, Abby Lowell, has said that James mistakenly stated that the property would be a primary residence. He said she made it clear in other documents that it would not be a primary residence and that her broker understood that. Also, I just want to show you the end of this. It's hard for you to see, but I'll put it on the screen here for you. The end of the article says, I don't usually read this much, but it's nice background to have. The end of the article says, the Justice Department, after receiving referrals from Pulte, has also opened mortgage fraud probes into Adam Schiff, a Democrat who led the House of Representatives inquiry that led to Trump's impeachment in 2019, and Lisa Cook, a member of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors appointed by Democratic President Biden. Neither Schiff nor Cook has yet been charged with a crime, and they both deny wrongdoing. Loans for primary residences can carry lower rates than mortgages on investment properties or second homes, which banks consider riskier. It is unclear whether James, Schiff's, or Cook's lenders took their intended use of the homes into account in determining their rates. So sorry for all the reading, but that is some nice background on the whole thing from the Reuters article. All right, so I want to take some comments from you guys. Also, let me just make sure that, has Trump posted yet on this? I'm checking his Truth Social here. I don't see anything. Has Pam Bondi posted about it? Has, for example, Kash Patel posted about it? Scott McFarlane, who's with CBS News, says he's hearing it was a different grand jury than the one that indicted James Comey. Sean Graham says, what's her defense going to be? That's not my signature. She's busted. Well, as you can see in the Reuters article, it mentioned that her lawyer said there are other documents where she clarified that this wasn't going to be her primary residence. The Reuters article said James's lawyer has said that she made it clear in other documents that it would not be her primary residence. So I'm not a legal expert, but my understanding is with this kind of case, it can't just be an accidental mistake. It has to be something you intentionally do to, I would assume, get a better mortgage rate. But it's got to be intentional. So again, I don't know what her defense is going to be. But one thing I've heard is similar to what her lawyer says, that she made it clear in other documents that it would not be her primary residence. So maybe that'll have something to do with the defense. Let's see here. Darren Constantine thinks she's so guilty. I don't have all the evidence here, so I can't tell you. And I'm also not a legal expert. Let's see here. The pothead says another bites the dust. Strong One says MAGA cheering on Trump going after his enemies. Guess what? If he becomes king, you be for the enemy as well. Game over for everyone else. No pesky laws to protect you. That's from our viewer Strong One on Twitch. I haven't seen Letitia James giving a statement. Was she giving a statement? If so, I'll try to play it for you. I didn't know she was. I haven't heard that she was. Oh, is she giving it now? Hold on. I'm seeing on TV a video from 2023. One of the news channels was playing a video of her from 2023 giving a statement. I'm not aware that she's giving one now. Hang on. One moment. One moment. I'm actually, I don't know that she's going to make, here's a statement right now. She posted a statement. She has posted a statement on her social media. Okay. Some people are probably trying to tell me that. Hey guys, look, statement from Letitia James on her social media. Let's play the statement from Letitia James right now. Sorry, it took me a moment to find that. Maybe that's what the viewer meant. So this is a statement she made on her posted to her social media. Here is the statement. Let me just make sure. Hopefully the audio works and everything. If it doesn't, we'll fix it. I'm playing it now. I haven't listened to this myself.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
There you go. There's a statement for Letitia James. You know, I don't know for sure, but given how fast it comes out, given how fast that came out, I would not be surprised if she had that prepared in case this happened. She very well might have known this might happen. Otherwise, it's like a pretty. It's a pretty quick turnaround. You know, it's like a whole 2-minute speech. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's something they had prepared. There's nothing wrong with there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's just they might have known that this might happen. They figured, let's prepare for when if it does happen. Wow. Our viewer Sufu says, sorry, Tish, no one is above the law. Hang on a moment here. Spaz Tastico thinks she has Trump derangement syndrome. I might play that one more time just so we can see it. It is important. It's her statement after all. By the way, a quick thanks to, we're going to watch that one more time. Quick thanks to Peanut Butter and Jelly number 4, Kane 827, Esteban, Joe, thank you, Joe. Ed Weeby, John Cassidy. John says, if you're gonna weaponize government against the president, you better be clean yourself. Thank you, Iroquois. Iroquois says the Eastern District of Virginia was gutted in September and they're using it to launch half-baked indictments at, quote, enemies. that while a significant threat will only embarrass them later when they lose. That's what Iroquois thinks. Thank you, Iroquois. Thanks, Boomer Wow and Aaron McCune and B. Earhart and Nina Drew and Granny Joe. Granny Joe thinks treason trials are coming soon. Thank you, Alan J. Mackey. Thank you, Jameson. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Jameson. Thanks, 2012. And also, hang on a moment here. Let's listen to what Letitia James said again in a second. But, one moment. Thanks to Tander62 for subscribing on Twitch. All right, so we're bringing you live coverage, breaking news coverage. Letitia James, a political, whatever word you want to describe it, I've heard her described as a political rival of Trump. Some might consider her a political enemy of Trump. She led a civil fraud case in New York State against Trump and Trump's sons and Trump's companies last year. She has been charged with 2 crimes by a grand jury, bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution. You can see here, it says here, this is from the Eastern District of Virginia. This is the office where the head prosecutor, the U.S. attorney in that office, resigned weeks ago after reportedly not having a good opinion of the evidence against Comey and Letitia James. Let me just show you this right here, just as background again. Hold on. Yeah, so you can see here, the Trump administration 2 weeks ago pushed out Eric Siebert, the veteran prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia, who had overseen the investigation for months but had resisted pressure to file a case against Comey, and replaced him with Lindsay Halligan, a White House aide who was once Trump's personal lawyer but who has never worked as a federal prosecutor. Halligan presented the case against Letitia James to the grand jury herself, as she did in the case against Comey. Trump has been advocating charging James for months, posting on social media without citing evidence, says AP, that she's guilty as hell, and telling reporters at the White House, it looks to me like she's really guilty of something, but I really don't know. So here is the statement from from Lindsay Halligan, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. She was appointed several weeks ago. Lindsay Halligan announced today that a federal grand jury returned an indictment charging New York State Attorney General Letitia James with bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution. No one is above the law, said Halligan. The charges as alleged in this case represent intentional criminal acts and tremendous breaches of the public's trust. The facts and the law in this case are clear, and we will continue following them to ensure that justice is served. If convicted, Letitia James faces a maximum of 30 years in prison and up to $1 million fine on each count. In forfeiture, actual sentences for federal crimes are typically less than the maximum penalties. A federal district court judge will determine any sentence after considering the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors. And let's just, again, one more time, look at what Letitia James had to say in response to this. This is from Letitia James herself. She posted about 20 minutes ago a response to this. Here is her statement.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
That was New York Attorney General Letitia James. We'll have to see what happens with her case, just like we'll have to see what happens with Comey's case. We'll just have to see how it pans out. But they have both been indicted now. By the way, thanks to Sparky for your support. Miku Huntu. Thank you. Peanut Butter and Jelly number 4. Did I thank Kane827 already? I think I did. Let's take some comments from you guys more, bring you some updates. I'm going to bring you some more reaction to this. Hang on a moment here. Oh, the indictment is out. How long is it? Okay, we have the indictment, courtesy of Anna Bauer from Lawfare. Anna Bauer from Lawfare posted a link to the document. So shout out to Anna Bauer from Lawfare. That's where I found it. Okay, this is the document right here. I got the document. All right, give me a moment here. Hold on. Give me a moment. Just give me one moment. I want to pull it up on the screen for you. Okay, here it is. Here it is, guys. I have it in front of me. I don't know how much detail is going to be in here. Look, there it is. There it is. Shout out to Anna Bauer. Okay, so this is the indictment, U.S. Court of Eastern District of Virginia. Oh, before we go through this, let me take a couple comments. I said I was going to take comments. Then we'll look at this. The man says arrest them all. Local host says no one is above the law. Hold on one second here. We're gonna check out the actual indictment. Uh, 303IO says MAGA is a fascist movement. Thanks 303IO for your support, by the way. All right. Hey, let's look at the indictment. I have the indictment right here. Let's look at it, courtesy of Anna Bauer. All right, here it is. Here's the indictment. Here it is. Okay. It's pretty short. Letitia James was a resident of Brooklyn and the borrower on a mortgage loan for a property in Virginia. Okay, so it starts off saying that Letitia James was getting a mortgage for a property she wanted to buy in Virginia. And then the lending business was called OVM Financial. Okay, so that's who she was getting the mortgage loan from. Fannie Mae is a federally chartered corporation that purchased and guaranteed mortgages. Fine. Then there's First Savings Bank. Okay. On or about August 17th, 2020, James purchased the 3-bedroom property located in Virginia for approximately $137,000, financed with a mortgage loan of approximately $109,600, backed by Fannie Mae. The loan was originated by OVM Financial. The lender required James, as the sole borrower, to occupy and use the property as her secondary residence, and prohibited using it as a time-sharing or other shared ownership arrangement or agreement that requires her to either rent the property or give any other person any control over the property. Okay, fine. I'm just going through this quickly and we can go back. Despite these representations, the property was not occupied or used by James as a secondary residence and was instead used as a rental investment property. So, this misrepresentation, they claim, allowed James to obtain favorable home loans not available for investment properties. So the allegation is that when Letitia James bought a house in 2020, the prosecutors allege that she got favorable loan terms by misrepresenting what the house was going to be used for. That's what the prosecution is saying. And that they say she said it was going to be used by her as her secondary residence, but she ended up renting it out or using it as a rental investment property, renting it out to a family. All right, that's the basic idea of their claim. Her application for homeowners insurance indicated owner-occupied, non-seasonal use, further misrepresenting the intended use of the property. Now remember, the Reuters article said that her lawyer said that there are other documents in which she made clear the actual use of this. I don't have those other documents. I just want to put that out there again. Her lawyer said there are other documents in which she made the actual use clear. Okay, she filed Schedule E tax forms, it says she filed tax forms treating the property as rental real estate. So she filed tax forms saying it was a rental property. Okay, she wasn't concealing from the government that it was a rental property because she filed tax forms that it was a rental property. So that's the evidence. That's all the evidence that's presented so far. Okay, so that's basically the background. The background given in this indictment is that in 2020, she bought a property. She told the lender that she was going to use it as a secondary residence, but then says the government she rented it out instead of using it as a secondary residence. And the government also claims she got better mortgage rate, better loan rate because of that. Okay? That's the claim. So, count one. Count one is bank fraud. It says Letitia James knowingly executed and attempted to execute a scheme to defraud the lender, basically, or lenders. Basically, this is saying she intentionally misled the lenders to get a better loan rate. Okay? The scheme involved falsely representing the property as a secondary residence to obtain favorable mortgage terms, while using it as an investment property with no intended or actual personal occupancy used by her. So look, her lawyer says, just to go to the Reuters article, there's a quote from her lawyer saying, her lawyer says she mistakenly stated the property would be a primary residence She made it clear in other documents that it would not be her primary residence, and her broker understood that. So, maybe what she'll try to show in the trial is that, look, I have other documents where I told the lenders that it's going to be a rental property. I don't know if those documents exist. And I don't know are the lenders going to have to testify what they were told? But there either is a paper trail of her communicating with the lenders that this is actually a rental property or not. And I don't know what evidence exists. Okay, so that's count one. And count two is false statements to financial institution. And yeah, it's saying she made false statements and reports to influencing the action of OVM Financial, Fannie Mae backed lender, that she represented and affirmed in the loan applications and related documents that the property would be a secondary residence, when in fact she knew the property was intended and used as an investment property, with no intended or actual personal occupancy by her. So it's basically it's two charges claiming the same rough thing. Again, the claim is that she intentionally told the lender or lenders that it was going to be used as a secondary home to get a better loan rate than she would have gotten if they had known it was going to be used as a rental property. Now, I don't know what the lender's going to say. Did the lenders really not know it was going to be a rental property? I don't know. Forfeiture notice. Upon conviction, if she is conviction, she shall forfeit any property constituting or derived from proceeds obtained directly or indirectly as a result of such violations, including but not limited to a money judgment in the amount of $18,933. So I don't know if that means, doesn't sound like the house itself. It means like any kind of monetary gains she might have gotten. So that's it. Hey, I'm going to post a link to this. You can read the indictment. But it's not a big complex, it's not like a RICO charge outlining this multi-person, multi-year criminal scheme. I think you can understand the basic charge here. Okay? I'm posting a link to that document, and you can look at it and read it. But unlike a bunch of criminal cases we might cover, it's fairly easy to understand what the nature of the charge is. Again, the two charges are basically that they claim that she defrauded lenders because they claim she told the lenders that it was going to be used for a secondary residence that she was going to live in sometimes, and instead she used it as a rental investment property, and she rented it out. That's the basic idea, that she defrauded the lenders to get a better loan rate. Okay, so there you go. Our viewer, Miss Pritchard, says, I bet both sides and the government do this kind of thing. Again, the one thing I know right now is that her lawyer says in other documents she made clear the actual use of the property. Oh, and this tells about the better rate here. One of our viewers was mentioning this paragraph. Thanks for mentioning it. The indictment says this representation allowed James to obtain favorable loan terms not available for investment properties, including a note rate of 3%, avoiding a 0.815% higher comparable investment property rate, resulting in approximately $17,837 in rate savings, and a seller credit of $32.88, exceeding the seller credit for investment properties by approximately $10.96. So they say that she got $18,933 by doing this. They say she got a better loan rate, which resulted in a $17,837 less savings over the life of her payments, I guess. And I don't understand the seller credit thing, but she got a better seller credit. So the claim is that she has $18,933 of ill-gotten gains. They're saying that's what she that's what she saved by, they claim, intentionally misleading the lenders. This property was bought in 2020. Okay. So anyways, just so we're clear, I will again post the link to the indictment. You can read the indictment yourself. It's great that we can see the indictment, though. That's helpful. I want to just check something here, too. Anna Bauer reports that Lindsay Halligan requested that a summons be used for Letitia James to appear in court. She did not request an arrest warrant. I have a quote from Chuck Schumer. Manu Raju of CNN says that Chuck Schumer, Democratic senator from New York, Chuck Schumer said that he told Letitia James he thought what was being done to her was outrageous, and he said, we talked about how they had twisted and turned every bit of honor in the Justice Department inside out. That's from Chuck Schumer via Manu Raju of CNN. Oh, we have something from Kash Patel. Hey guys, Kash Patel of the FBI posted. FBI Director Kash Patel says, there simply cannot be and will not be different rules for different people. One system of law and order from this FBI. Now, he doesn't specifically say Letitia James, but I'm guessing he's talking about Letitia James. That's from Kash Patel. Do we have a statement from Pam Bondi yet? Or Dan Bongino? I haven't seen one from Dan Bongino. Oh, Pam Bondi posted one tier of justice for all Americans. And she didn't explicitly say Letitia James either. She just said this. It's kind of similar to when Comey got indicted. I feel like when Comey got indicted, they did the same thing. They posted posts like this without specifically naming who they were referring to. Ann Breedenstein says, who is next Adam Schiff? Well, as we said before, as we mentioned before, two of the three people that Trump mentioned in his message to Pam Bondi on September 20th on Truth Social have now been indicted. President Trump on September 20th wrote to Pam Bondi on Truth Social, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time, all talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, and Letitia? Well, now two of the three have been charged. Trump passed along these statements that said they're guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then later he said, we can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation, credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. President DJT. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. Hey, thanks to Frank O.B. for your support. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Jesus, for your support. I appreciate that. Also, thank you to, hold on, Da Bears for subscribing, and also Fifth Survivor over there on Twitch. Fifth Survivor says, I am so happy Trump is finally doing what is right. Let's see here. Where is... Okay, so something I'm going to point out, there's an article by the Lawfare Institute, which I will post a link to, by Molly Roberts, that came out 4 days ago, that talks about this possible case against Letitia James. And what is said in one thing said in this article is, remember, the case is, the allegation is that Letitia James defrauded her lender or lenders in 2020 when she bought a house, because she told the lender or lenders in 2020 she was going to live in it as a secondary home, but she ended up using it as a rental property, and that allowed her to get a better mortgage rate. That's the allegation by the government, okay? Where is it here? There's a part of this article I want to mention to you. So Lawfare says, lawfaremedia.org says that James did incorrectly indicate on a power of attorney form that she would occupy the property as her principal residence. It may have been an error, may have been deliberate. But if it was deliberate, there's no explaining why in emails with the mortgage loan broker, she made her actual intentions capital letters clear. According to Lawfare Media, in an email to her mortgage loan broker, she said, this property will not, capital letters, be my primary residence. A loan application filed after the inaccurate power of attorney reflects this reality. The broker, in an email of his own, confirms it. So what this article says is that, again, we'll have to see what happens in court. I'll post a link to the article by Lawfare Media. And the article says that she made clear in other documents how she was going to use the property before she got the loan. Because remember, the allegation is that she got better loan terms because she deceived the lender or lenders. So, I would assume if she can prove, I don't know what she can prove, but if she can prove, look, I have these emails and documents other emails and documents where I'm explaining to the lender that it's a rental property that I'm going to use it for, and they clearly know that I assume would get her off the hook. But I don't know how the trial is going to go. I'm just giving you an idea of how she might try to fight the charge. In addition, I believe both her and Comey, from just stuff I've watched and read, might attempt to get off before a trial by claiming it's vindictive prosecution. But I am not a legal expert, so I'm not going to weigh in on that. Anyways, if you want to read that document, I'm going to post a link. Not the document. If you want to read the article, I'll post a link to it here. Let's see if this says anything. Hang on a moment. Hang on a moment here. Let's see here. Where is it here? Sorry, just pulling something up here. The Washington Post reports that U.S. District Judge Jamar K. Walker, a Biden judicial appointee, was chosen by random selection to handle the case. James, who was not arrested, was summoned to appear in court in Norfolk on October 24th. So she has a court date in Virginia in 2 weeks. The judge is Jamar K. Walker, a Biden judicial appointee who was chosen by random selection to handle the case. The Washington Post says Letitia James's attorney has described that the statements that she made about the house that she was purchasing in 2020 as honest mistakes, and said Letitia James has presented evidence showing that she purchased the home for a niece and had not intended to improperly secure a better mortgage rate by declaring it her primary residence. Again, we'll have to see what the jury thinks about all these documents. Prosecutors had called James's niece to appear before a grand jury as part of the investigation, according to people familiar with the conversations. Those people said the niece gave testimony that would bolster James's case that she did not commit fraud. Oh, but this is a different property. Oh, the indictment, however, this is all mixed. I'm just going through this Washington Post article. Let me just keep reading this for a second. The indictment, however, appears to refer to a separate Virginia property purchased in 2020. Well, now I'm confused. So what the Post said is that the case against Letitia James stems from a criminal referral sent to the Justice Department in April by Bill Pulte, Trump's head of the Trump-appointed head of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. Pulte, a Trump ally, has also made similar mortgage fraud allegations against Senator Adam Schiff and Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. Pulte alleged that James lied on loan documents for a house she purchased in Norfolk in 2023. But that house is not what the case is about. The case is about a house she purchased in 2020. So I don't know if what happened is they looked into the 2023 thing and they didn't find a case there, but then they looked into the 2020 house purchase. That's what the house is about. The case is about this 2020 house purchase. The accusations against Schiff and Cook, says the Post, have not yet been presented to a grand jury. Both have denied wrongdoing. Also, the Washington Post said Lindsay Halligan, who is Trump appointed her several weeks ago to take over in the Eastern District of Virginia as the U.S. Attorney. Lindsay Halligan presented the case against James to a grand jury in Alexandria. The Post says it is unusual for a top politically appointed U.S. attorney to present a case herself, suggesting that the office struggled to find a career attorney willing to take on the assignment. A senior career attorney in the office indicated to her staff in recent days she believed the case was weak and did not want to present it to a grand jury, according to two people familiar with the internal conversations about the case. Anyways, well, she has been indicted now. A reminder, grand jury versus trial jury. In a grand jury proceeding, there is no defense lawyer there. The defense is not represented there. It is just the prosecution with the grand jury. The prosecution needs to get a majority of grand jurors to vote to indict. That is different from a trial where you need a unanimous jury to convict. Also, the standard of voting to indict in a grand jury is probable cause. So as I understand it, a grand juror needs to think that it's more likely than not that a crime occurred based on the evidence they have heard presented to them. So more likely than not, that could be 51%, it could be 99%, whatever it is. The standard in a trial for a conviction is, as a juror, you need to believe that it has been proved beyond a reasonable doubt, which is a significantly higher standard than more likely than not that a crime has been committed. So those are the differences between, as a total legal novice and not an expert, I understand those differences between getting an indictment in a grand jury and getting a conviction in a federal trial. Oh, by the way, Barak Ravid reports that Israel's cabinet has approved the agreement to stop the war in Gaza, and which includes the returning of the remaining hostages by Hamas. So that's some other news coming out. That was expected to happen. Okay, let's see here. And again, she is supposed to make, according to the Washington Post, she will make her first court appearance in Virginia on October 24th, in 2 weeks. All right, let's take some more comments from you guys. I want to do that. I've been bringing you updates here. Here is a headline from AP about it. All right, let me take some comments from you guys. Who brought the charges against her, says Annie McIntyre. Reportedly, Trump's recent appointee, Lindsay Halligan, to run the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Virginia. Reportedly, she presented the case to the grand jury herself, as she reportedly did with the James Comey case. Jerry DePalmo thinks her loan didn't allow renting to someone else. She did so she is guilty. Again, the government says that she got a better loan rate by misrepresenting what the use of the house she bought in 2020 was going to be. But her lawyer says that she did not misrepresent it, and that other documents show that the lender was aware of what, as I understand it, other documents show that the lender was aware, and she did not misrepresent what was going to, what the house was going to be used for. I don't have all the documents here, so I can't tell you. Now remember, if there are other documents, right, the defense is not present in the grand jury. So if there are other documents where she told the lender that she was going to use it as a rental property, which is what it actually was used as, that the grand jury doesn't have to see that. The prosecution presumably wouldn't want to show that to the grand jury. Again, there's no defense in a grand jury proceeding. It's just the prosecutor. Our viewer Lagkill says not retribution, accountability. Look, eventually there will be a trial, presumably, and we'll get to see what all the evidence is. Same with James Comey. We'll get to see what all the evidence is on both sides. Let's see here. Karen, our viewer, Karen Belial thinks that Letitia James did nothing wrong and Trump is out for revenge for all who went against him. Let's see here. Storm Laughter says, if the lender was aware, was the lender complicit? So I'm not sure, again, I'm not sure, like, it sounds like you're saying, did the lender just give her a favorable loan rate? That I have no idea. I mean, the government claims in the indictment that she saved around $18,000 by getting a more favorable loan rate. So, I don't know. The government claims she got a more favorable loan rate. Now, I don't know what the lenders knew. Is it possible that she told the lenders, or she told her loan broker, who is the broker, the one who deals with the lenders, the mortgage broker? Who does the mortgage broker work for? Is it her or the lender? Does the mortgage broker work for her? Because suppose, I just read you an article that said that from Lawfare that claimed that there's emails where she's specifically telling her mortgage broker, I'm using it as a rental property. So is there something that could have happened where she told her mortgage broker, but the mortgage broker, it never got from the mortgage broker to the lender? I don't know. Again, I don't have all the documents in front of me. And I can't verify that she got the special rate that she only would have gotten if the lender thought that she was not going to be renting the house. But I mean, certainly these are the kind of questions that will be looked into the trial. Our viewer, Gregory Pelletieri, says the bank set the rate from the broker info. So again, they're claiming she got a special rate that you wouldn't get if the bank knew she was going to rent it out. So I don't know if that's the rate she really got. If she did get it, is that because the lender was misled by her? Is it because the broker told them something and they didn't process it? Who knows? I'll post the link again to the indictment. But at least you know what I like about this? It's a bit of a simple. At least we can understand. Some cases, it's so hard to even wrap your head around the case, what's being in these long indictments. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying some cases are more complex. This case, it's about whether she lied on a mortgage whether she misled lenders to get a better loan rate on a specific house by misrepresenting what she was going to do with the house. Okay, that's what it's about. So you can probably imagine the kind of things that will come up in the trial. Well, I guess it could not go to trial if she was able to win and get it thrown out on vindictive prosecution or something, which I'm not a legal expert, so I really can't comment on that intelligently. Hey, by the way, Thank you to Boomer Wow for your support. Thank you, Boomer Wow and Marin Go Bra and Frank O.B. And also Spencer Biohazard, thanks for subscribing. Shout out to I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3 moderating over there on Twitch, Linda Belk, Larry Misha on X, and Beth Mythical on YouTube. Thank you. Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley on Facebook. Hang on one sec here. Thank you, Kay. And Margaret. Hey, thanks to Chuck Mosca for subscribing over on Facebook. I appreciate that, Chuck. Thank you. All of our others. Shannon Davis Hughes modding, too. Thank you, Shannon Davis Hughes. Thanks, T. Porter. T. Porter says, if it were a mistake, why hasn't an attempt been made to correct it? Thanks, T. Porter. I believe her lawyer has said that she did correct it. Now, I can't verify that for you, but I believe that's the position of her lawyer. Again, reading from the Reuters article, Letitia James's lawyer, Abby Lowell, has said that she mistakenly stated the property would be a primary residence. He said she made it clear in other documents that it would not be her primary residence and that her broker understood that. Although this is a little confusing because the charge is that she claimed it was going to be a secondary residence. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? This is where the confusion is. Now I have to apologize for this. I see where the confusion came. Okay. So I owe an apology, but hopefully you can understand how I got confused. The Justice Department was looking into her after Federal Housing Finance Agency Director William Pulte, who's a big Trump ally, sent a letter to the Justice Department alleging James had falsified records to obtain favorable loans on homes she purchased in Virginia and Brooklyn. But you can see here, it says in his referral letter, Pulte wrote that James indicated in a mortgage application that in a Virginia property that she was buying in 2023 would be her primary residence, even though she lived in New York. So the case is not about the 2023 house. The case is about a house in 2020. So I've been reading this quote from Abby Lowell. Abby Lowell, her lawyer, said she had mistakenly stated the property would be a primary residence. He said she made it clear in other documents it would not be her primary residence, and her broker understood that. Now, see, look, the thing is, that is actually about the 2023 house. Now, maybe he would say something similar about the 2020 house. See, that confusion came up with the Washington Post article too, because the Washington Post article said, I need some more water. Let's see if I can finish this statement and then get some water. The Post article said that, yes, Pulte originally claimed she lied in 2023, but the case is about a 2020 house. I got to fill up my water glass. Hold on. Give me 10 seconds here. Give me 10 seconds. I'm still getting over a cold. So, again, I apologize for the confusion. So there's a 2023 case, and there's a 2023 house and a 2020 house. It sounds like maybe people thought the case was going to be about the 2023 house, but it ended up being about the 2020 house. Yeah, and the Washington Post said in the original letter from Trump ally Bill Pulte, in the Federal Housing Finance Agency, the original letter that he sent to the Justice Department alleged that James lied about a house in 2023, but the indictment is about a separate property in 2020. Anyway, so I'm sorry for my confusion. I think a number of the articles were written assuming it was going to be about the 2023 house, and it turns out that the indictment is about this 2020 house that was purchased in 2020. So again, I totally apologize for my confusion. Hold on a moment. Oh, right. So, and I got, you know what? And now I'm looking at that Lawfare article that I mentioned, and that was actually talking about the 2023 house too. A bunch of that article is about the 2023 house. And then at the end of the section on the 2023 house, the Lawfare article says, perhaps becoming desperate, prosecutors have reportedly also probed whether a separate Virginia property of James's was directed as both a second home and an investment property. Okay, I'll post a link to that article again. So, I'm sorry it took me so long to realize this. I don't know if some of you guys realize this. So what it really looks like to me, if this can make sense, is that there were a lot of assumptions that if a case was brought against her involving mortgage fraud, it would be about this house that she bought in 2023, because that is the letter from Bill Pulte to the Justice Department focused on that house. And so a bunch of the articles that have come out about this case, about the indictment or before the indictment, mention the 2023 house. But it turns out when you look at the indictment that it's about this house in 2020. So I don't know if they originally were trying to indict her for the 2023 house and it didn't work out, and so then they said, let's go with the 2020. Maybe they tried to get indictments for both houses. We haven't heard whether Lindsay Halligan tried to get the grand jury to indict on any other charges. So I do very much, now Cybertruck says she corrected the 2023 stuff, so DOJ moved on to the 2020. Yeah, so again, I can't say if Lindsay Halligan tried to get a charge on the 2023 house or not, but they didn't. So again, I totally apologize. I was confused. I was reading that quote from her lawyers saying she corrected in other documents. There's a couple articles that talk about, that the possibility that she corrected it in other documents. But that's all about 2023. So there's not a lot out there that I'm seeing about this 2020 house. So that it seems like that 2020, it was kind of a surprise that the 2020 house purchase is what the indictment is about. Well, at least we figured that out. I'm so sorry for my confusion. It's confusing though. Well, we didn't know the indictment was about the 2020 house until we actually saw the indictment, which we only saw a ways into the stream because Anna Bauer posted it. So I haven't heard, I'll let you know, I haven't heard anything yet on whether Lindsay Halligan tried to get other charges against Letitia James from the grand jury. Yes, so Molly Roberts, who wrote that Lawfare article I was talking about, said that she said the indictment actually focuses on a separate property from the one that prosecutors were initially focused on. And she says that Molly Roberts with Lawfare says ABC reported that the DOJ was skeptical of this case. I guess the people before Lindsay Halligan was skeptical because, this is going to sound very technical, because the Fannie Mae guidelines on second homes versus investment properties are so squishy. So I think what she's saying is, or what ABC News says, I guess, is that maybe the distinction between second home and investment property, as Fannie Mae defines them, is not very clear. So it might be easy to confuse one with the other. I don't know. But anyways, it's interesting. But don't do what I did. If you read articles about this, make sure they're not talking about the 2023 house, because that seems to be what a lot of people thought this case was going to be about. And it's not about the 2023 house. We really got into the weeds on this stream about this. Oh, hold on a second. Jim Sciutto reports a federal judge has granted a temporary restraining order blocking the deployment of National Guard troops in the state of Illinois for 14 days. That's Jim Sciutto from CNN just reported that. Hold on a moment. And then as we get this ruling, again, I'm just hearing this. Jim Sciutto reports a federal judge has granted a temporary restraining order blocking the deployment of National Guard troops in the state of Illinois for 14 days. That's just coming out now. I'll see if I can get you something more about that. If you give me 2 seconds. If I get more on it, I'll let you know. So let me just read a few more comments about this Letitia James case. Wild Bill says, I don't get how public servants can be so rich and have properties in multiple states. Michael Lunsford says the grand jury indicted her, not Trump, so it seems like some on grand jury saw something nefarious here. Yes, a grand jury did indict. Again, I don't know what was presented to the grand jury. Also, a reminder that there is no defense representation in a grand jury. It's just the prosecution. So I don't know whether there's evidence that the defense could show. If the defense were there, they could have shown the grand jurors, and would that have changed their mind? Let's see here. Our viewer, that's a picture of Lindsay Halligan right there. Our viewer, DC Killing Spree says, if she committed a crime, nobody's above the law. Let the process play out. Our viewer, Cut East, says, Trump just wants vengeance, LMAO. He always does this to people who did him wrong or tried to go against me. Megabait thinks Letitia James is guilty. Jasmine Beatty says this is just Trump on his revenge tour. Corey H. says you can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich, another old saying. James is a Democrat who infuriated Trump after his first term with a lawsuit alleging that he built his business empire on lies about his wealth. She was charged with bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution in connection with a home purchase in Norfolk, Virginia in 2020. A reminder, both the Comey and James cases followed a strikingly unconventional path toward indictment, says AP, with the Trump administration last month pushing out Eric Siebert, the veteran prosecutor who had overseen both investigations for months and had resisted pressure to file charges, and replacing him with Lindsay Halligan, a White House aide who has worked as a lawyer for Trump but never had previously served as a federal prosecutor. Halligan presented both cases to the grand jury herself, according to AP. There is a new statement here from Letitia James's lawyer, Abby Lowell. Okay, we have this now from AP. Here it is. Abby Lowell, Letitia James's lawyer and a prominent attorney representing multiple Trump targets, said James flatly and forcefully denies these charges. James is scheduled to make an initial appearance in the federal court in Norfolk, Virginia in October 24th. Lowell said, "We are deeply concerned that this case is driven by President Trump's desire for revenge. When a president can publicly direct charges to be filed against someone, when it was reported that career attorneys concluded none were warranted, it marks a serious attack on the rule of law," Letitia James' attorney said. "We will fight these charges in every process allowed in the law." The indictment pertains to James' purchase of a house in Norfolk, Virginia in 2020. During the sale, she signed a standard document called a second home rider, in which she agreed to various rules, including a requirement that she keep the property primarily for her personal use and enjoyment for at least 1 year unless the lender agreed otherwise in writing. Rather than using the home as a second residence, the indictment alleges she rented it out to a family of 3. According to the indictment, that allowed her to obtain more favorable loan terms. Cheryl Moran thinks it will be a perp walk. Well, they didn't have a perp walk for James Comey when he showed up for his appearance in court for his arraignment. I think he didn't go in the court publicly. I might play her statement one more time. We're going to have to see how this all plays out. But for just for those who haven't seen it. Yeah, our viewer Jen mentioned that Manu Raju, thanks Jen, asked Adam Schiff if he was worried he was next. And he said, "It's not about me or Letitia James or James Comey, it's about all of us." He said the administration needed to be held accountable. Our viewer Jake thinks a criminal prosecution for a single borrower is relatively rare. That I don't know. Karen Moore, our viewer, says people who are cheering should be aware it's all fun and games until they come for you. This revenge tour is awful. That's what our viewer Karen Moore said. Missile Hatch News thinks Pritzker and Johnson from Illinois need to be next. That's what our viewer Missile Hatch News said. By the way, just a little update here. Some viewers had mentioned this to me. Thank you. Josh Wingrove. This is being reported a bunch of places. Actually, maybe I can show you the article where this is reported. Hold on a second here. One sec. Yeah. So the U.S. is sending 200 troops to the Middle East, but they're not going to be going to Gaza, just to be clear. So here's an AP report about it from a little while ago. You can see right here. U.S. is sending about 200 troops to monitor Gaza ceasefire deal. The United States is sending 200 troops to Israel to help support and monitor the ceasefire deal in Gaza, as part of a team that includes partner nations and non-governmental organizations and private sector players. U.S. officials say. The officials say U.S. Central Command is going to establish a civil military coordination center in Israel that will help facilitate the flow of aid as well as logistical and security assistance into the territory racked by 2 years of war. They're not going into Gaza. Josh Wingrove of Bloomberg says the Americans are not intended to go into Gaza itself and will be joined by Egyptian, Qatari, and Turkish forces and maybe more. Kristen Holmes of CNN also says a U.S. official said no U.S. troops are intended to go to Gaza. All right, let me just show you one more time. I just want to show you one more time Letitia James' response to this. We'll certainly keep following this story as it plays out, along with the Comey trial story. We'll have to see how all this plays out in court, the Comey case and the Letitia James case, and also see if there are any more indictments of some of the political rivals of President Trump. We'll have to see. Terry Gribben thinks the lawyers are probably the only ones really enjoying this. All right, here again, for those who didn't see, I'm going to play it one more time. This is what Letitia James had to say about after the indictment came out.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
All right, there you go. That's Letitia James, who's now charged with bank fraud and false statements to a financial institution. The government alleges she obtained better mortgage rates than she should have in 2020 by misrepresenting to a lender or lenders what the true nature of a house she was buying was. And the government claims she misrepresented and did not tell the lender or lenders that it was going to be used as a rental property. So we'll have to see how all this plays out. But I think for now, I'll be interested in seeing what, I don't have right now. I don't know what the evidence is there about this property, about this case. As I said, a lot of these articles I've been seeing today and before thought that this 2023 house was going to be the subject of this charge, if there was a charge or charges, and it's this 2020 house. So I haven't seen much detail about it. I'm interested in knowing what evidence is there about this that's floating around. We'll just have to see. But I think for right now, I think we've covered we did what we came to do. We covered the indictment, and if there's big developments, we'll do more coverage. There might be more indictments. I don't know. But I really appreciate you guys being with us. If there's other big news tonight, when I get off the air, I have to check the other news. If there's something else really big that pops up, we'll do another stream tonight. We covered the peace deal last night, but when I get off the air, I kind of want to see how things are with that. But we did a whole stream on that last night when it was being announced. And but I'm going to keep an eye on things. Again, if there's something big, we'll cover it. And I am in Madrid, Spain still, but I will jump on the air as events warrant. So I really appreciate you guys being here for the coverage. And subscribe, follow Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. Agenda Free TV. And hey. I will post updates about this and other stories on my X account, which is @Lookner on X. You can follow me over there. Look, @Lookner. So I'll be posting stuff there. And, turn on notifications. We have a notification system that works often. It works awesome. That way you don't miss a stream. I can't tell you in advance when breaking news is going to happen, but if you sign up for the notifications, you'll get a message whenever we go live. Works great. We do it through Discord. It's free to sign up. The mods will post a link to the notifications in the chat, and you can also find a link to the notifications on Facebook and YouTube in the description of this broadcast. So sign up for the notifications. I also really appreciate you guys. One of our viewers said, need mugs? We have mugs. I never talk about the merch. The mods will post the link to the merch in the chat. We do have mugs. You can buy the mug. Oh, I'm sorry. I think you meant I need a mug here. I don't have a mug with me here. When I am traveling, I need to use what I have access to. So I don't bring my mug with me when I travel. Maybe I should get a plastic travel mug and bring that with me when I travel. It's an idea, actually. It is an idea. It's big, though, for this. Anyways, hey, so thanks for posting your comments and sharing your thoughts about this and letting me read it on the air, and for the updates people have been sending me. Hey, also, let me just make sure I didn't see a post from Trump. Did I miss it? People didn't tell me there was one. No, President Trump, I would not be surprised if he posts about this tonight, but he has not yet posted about it tonight. So maybe he'll post right after I get off the air. I checked, though. Hey, huge thanks to our moderators for all you do. They're the ones who allow us to have chat rooms. We could not have our chat rooms without our moderators. Chat rooms where people can share views. Even though they have different views, they can share as long as they're being respectful and civil. So thank you to Beth Mythical for moderating over there, and all of our other YouTube mods. Thanks so much. On Twitch, I got that fired. Matthew Kohai 3, Big Ball of Yarn, Papa Bear. Thank you. Linda Belk, Larry, Misha on X. Thanks so much. Paul Anderson, Margaret Riley, Kay Lowry Body, Shannon Davis Hughes on Facebook. Thanks. All of our moderators, thank you. Also, thanks to everybody who donated. That's so nice of you guys. Very much appreciated. Your support is what allows this channel to exist. So big shout out to everybody who donated. If you ever want to donate, go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. Let me thank a couple more people I owe thanks to. High Tech Computers, thanks for being a member. Dewey, thanks for being a member. Dewey1851. Two Dog Mom, thank you. Pale Rider 747. I thanked T. Porter before, I think. Did I thank Marin Gobra? I think I did. Did I miss anybody? Sparky? Did I thank Sparky? I thought I thanked Sparky. I think I got everybody there. Thank you, CC143 and Spencer Biohazard on Twitch. Thank you. And we should do a poll. I forgot we didn't do a poll. For the few of you still left, we're going to do a flash poll as I say my goodbyes. But thanks to everybody who donated. I really appreciate that. So flash poll is going to be, will Letitia James be convicted of one of these crimes? Will she be convicted of either crime? That's it. That's the poll question. I'm just going to write, will she be convicted? It's yes or no. I'm only posting it on Facebook and Twitch because YouTube and Twitch because the Facebook polls haven't been working, sadly. And as I'm saying goodbye, I will give you the update on what you guys had to say about this. But I forgot to do a poll before, so I'll do it right now. You got to vote by clicking on the poll, not by saying it in the chat. Okay. Hey, we'll get to the poll results in a second. Another good way to find out when we're live is follow us on X at Agenda Free TV. I always post there before we go live. I post updates about the channel now there. Follow us at Agenda Free TV on X. We do have a chat. You can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air. The Agenda Free TV Discord chat. It's free. Check it out. A bunch of our viewers like doing the chat, the Discord chat. The mods will post a link. Well, the mods don't need to. The mods can post a link. It's the same link as the free notifications if you want to check out the Discord chat. So check out the Discord chat. Yes, Bella says Discord has great notifications too. I did buy cough drops today in case I need them. I found some cough drops and bought them, but I didn't need them on the show. Let's see. Also for those, hey, let's talk about the poll results real quick. Poll results time. It's poll results time, everyone. Let's look at the poll results. So I asked you, our goodbye poll, I asked you guys, where's the poll? Oh, there it is. I asked you guys, I said, will she be convicted of either charge? Over on YouTube, where'd it go? Is that it? Oh, now I did that wrong. Hold on. Let's try this again. Over on YouTube, one more time. Over on YouTube, let me show you. I'm showing you right now. 55% say yes, 45% say no. And on Twitch, if I can put this on the air, oh, this is a big disagreement with YouTube. Sometimes they agree. They did not disagree tonight. 73% say no on Twitch. Look at that. We got a disagreement. Penolta thinks YouTube is hysterical as usual. Wow. Sonny Kim on YouTube says the delusion. Well, you can disagree. Ventura Highway says the internet jury is deadlocked. Thanks for watching on X Ventura Highway. Hey, all right, so that's the poll. That's our flash poll. That was our flash poll. So I'm glad we got a poll in, even though it's late. All right, let me say a couple more thanks here. Thanks to our Facebook subscribers like Chuck Mosca. Thank you, Chuck, and Robert Real II. Thank you, Robert, for subscribing. And Margaret Riley and Patrick Jordan. Patrick says, isn't it the same indictment she got Trump on? So, Patrick, I don't know if Trump's case was a bank fraud case. I mean, the specifics are quite different. But I don't remember. I'd have to look it up. Civil fraud case, NY Trump. I don't, it's, oh, it was a civil suit. It wasn't criminal, it was civil. So it's a little different because it was asking for damages. This is a criminal trial. Anyways, so it's a bit different. And one involved falsifying business records allegations, and one involved the claim that she falsified a mortgage application. Anyways, without getting all into the weeds, I just wanted to address the question. But that's a very quick version of an answer, of some sort of answer. But anyways, thank you also, Patrick, for subscribing. And all of our other subscribers over there. Chuck thinks it will be a loss in court for the authoritarian regime. Thanks, Shannon Davis Hughes, for moderating and subscribing. And all of our other subscribers on Facebook, thank you. On Twitch, thanks to our subscribers so much over there as well. I really appreciate your support for the channel. What did I do? Oh, there's Twitch over here. There it is. Tuck Fexus, thanks for subscribing. Wall Street and Shaggy, Artful Nothing. Penolta. Matthew Kohai 3, Shraki. Guy from the 207, Barcodable. Barcodable thinks she's going to be convicted. Thanks for subscribing over there. Strong One, thank you for subscribing. Amelian, thank you. All of our subscribers. I thank Wall Street and Shaggy. Thanks, Wall Street and Shaggy. And our YouTube members, huge thanks. Evelyn in Maine, Benny Hill, Leslie Ladyhawk, Jean-Paul LaChance, Babe Alicious, Ethereal Planet, Sylvia S., Joe Hart, PWDS, Babe Alicious, Patricia Grace. Again, I really apologize for my confusion. It took a while to figure out, because the articles were initially talking about this case, and they were talking about the 2023 House, which I guess is what people generally thought the case was going to be about. Then the indictment came out like halfway through the stream, and we figured out that it was about this 2020 purchase of a house. And it took me a while to figure out that the articles had been about the 2023 house and not the 2020 house. So it made it very confusing. So I'm sorry that I was confused there for a while. But hopefully you understand why. Or maybe you don't understand why, because it's even confusing why I was confused. But it's just the house that people thought the indictment generally was going to be about ended up being a different house than the indictment was about. Okay. Hey, thanks to I Am Charlie. Thanks you, I Am Charlie. He says, no one is above the law. I really appreciate your support, I Am Charlie. Thank you so much. And thanks to Cybertruck for being a member, Benny Hill, Two Dog Mom, Logan, Criminy, JR, Dewey, Val Cargo, UV Lightning, Waltham, Ethereal Planet, Doug Cahill, Ken Lance, Dak22, Bella, Brian Birch. Thanks so much, all of our members, and all of our other viewers. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Okay, guys, it's time to wrap up this stream. When I get off the air, I'll check into the other news that's going on. Oh, hold on. Do I have something I can show you? Is this public or not? That's not public. There were some New York officials speaking. I don't think I have it. Do I have it? Hold on. No, I don't. Where is it? Let me just see if I can. I'll put it up there if I have access to the video. There's a video showing one place, but I don't have access. I don't have the rights to show it. Like a local affiliate to show it. I'm not going to worry right now. It's not even her It's not her speaking. It's some New York officials are speaking about this. New York City officials. Anyways, I don't have access to it right now, so I'm not going to worry about it. All right, guys, we're wrapping this up. So I'll look into other news going on, and in the coming days, if there's big updates, or tonight, I will do another stream, okay? All right. Hey, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here for our live coverage. New York Attorney General Letitia James, a political rival of Donald Trump, indicted on 2 charges by a federal grand jury. We'll have to see how the process. We'll have to see how the the process of justice. It's not the prosecutorial process, the judicial process. I don't know what the right word is. Anyway, we'll have to see how the legal process plays out. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.